electronic and online media organizations across the country. Now, their primary responsibilities include covering official presidential engagements, state visits and meetings, reporting on the Federal Executive Council's meetings and, of course, press briefings, and disseminating official press releases, policies and speeches issued by the State House Press Office. The State House Press Corps, the world over, are treated with as much seriousness as the offices they report on, and at times the journalists and the presidency are on a collision course over the way and manner certain stories have been reported. U.S. President Donald Trump's frosty relationship with sections of the U.S. media is a prime example. Now, these are tricky times for the Nigerian State House Press Corps, saddled with the responsibility of reporting the activities of Bola Tinubu, a president who, since coming into power in 2023, has made tough decisions he says are necessary but not popular. Top on the list of these decisions are the removal of fuel subsidy, the liberalization of the exchange rate of the naira, and the recently introduced tax reforms. State House journalists are also reporting the activities of a president that is seeking re-election in next year's general polls, a scenario where a considerable level of unfavorable reportage will not do the president's re-election chances much good, while having too many nice things to say about the president at the time Nigerians are passing through tough economic times may not be in the interest of the media house in question. A few journalists have had runs in with the president over the way certain stories have been presented to the public. Well, the opportunity to right some of these wrongs presents itself on Friday as the State House Press Corps is hosting its inaugural annual dinner at the State House Conference Center in the Presidential Villa. The event is designed to give President Bola Tinubu a relaxed off-duty environment to interact one-on-one with journalists, the ones who cover his administration on a daily basis. However, knowing my colleagues very well, they won't let the president get away without taking him up on some of Nigeria's burning issues. Well, joining us this Thursday to take a look at relations between the presidency and the State House Corps is the chairman of the State House Press Corps, Emmanuel Anule. Emmanuel will also be telling us what's on the menu at the presidential dinner coming up on Friday. That's tomorrow. Okay, now there's so much happening on the Nigerian political scene. Crucial judicial interventions for opposition parties, intense pre-electoral maneuvers for upcoming elections, and major legislative changes targeting insecurity and key developments highlight the legal battles between political parties and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, alongside preparations for the 2027 general elections. Arguably top on the list is the Court of Appeal's decision to suspend the implementation of the Federal High Court Abuja's order to the Independent National Electoral Commission to deregister 5 political parties for failing to meet certain election results benchmarks. And yesterday, the Minority Caucus of the House of Representatives expressed its displeasure at the current scheme of things, especially as regards the current wave of insecurity. Among other things, it made a number of demands on the Tinubu administration, including the immediate overhaul of the country's security architecture and a special military operations within 72 hours to release the students and teachers seized from 3 schools in Oyo State. We'll be taking a look at these and other burning issues with the Executive Director of the Non-Government Setting Leadership Initiative, Dr. A.K. Peters. Dr. Peters is also a public affairs analyst. Now, you may have heard that former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alice Madueke has been cleared of all bribery charges brought against her in the United Kingdom. A jury at Southwark Crown Court in London found the former minister not guilty on 6 counts linked to alleged bribery involving oil and gas contracts awarded during her tenure in office between 2010 and 2015. The verdict brings to a close one of the most high-profile corruption trials involving a former Nigerian public official in the United Kingdom. British prosecutors had alleged that Alison Madueke received benefits, luxury accommodation, and other advantages from individuals in the oil and gas sector in exchange for influence over the award of lucrative contracts in Nigeria. But the former minister consistently denied the allegations, maintaining that she neither accepted bribes nor exercised personal control over the contract award process. This will form part of our talking points during the newspaper review coming up at the top of the hour. Now, after more than 46 hours of deliberations, the jury acquitted Alison Madueke on all 6 charges. And the court also cleared the oil industry executive Olatimbo Ayinde and Alison Madueke's brother Doye Agama, who faced bribery and conspiracy allegations. The acquittal marks a significant setback for British authorities whose investigation into the former OPEC president and Nigerian minister spanned more than a decade. And while the criminal proceedings in the UK have now ended with acquittals, the case remains one of the most closely watched international corruption investigations involving a former Nigerian government official. This will form part of our talking points during the newspaper review, like I said, at the top of the hour. But don't you forget that you can be a part of the program by sending your views and comments to all our social media handles on Facebook, X, Instagram, and of course YouTube at Africa Independent TV. That's where you find us on YouTube, so you can stay up to date with the latest news from all around the world. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you the Kakaaki World News from our news desk. Thank you for staying with us. This is the World News on Kakaaki, the African Voice. And we begin from the United States, where the President, Donald Trump, says his country's agreement with Iran will be signed shortly and could be done tomorrow, as U.S. officials reveal details of the deal. The 14-paragraph agreement says Iran will never have a nuclear weapon and also commits to a $300 billion fund for the reconstruction and economic development of the country, although the U.S. is not required to contribute. The agreement declares the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. And it says the U.S. and Iran commit to negotiating and achieving the final deal in a maximum of 60 days, extendable with mutual consent. In the meantime, President Donald Trump told a room full of global leaders on Wednesday that I'm the boss, as he and other G7 heads acknowledged Ukraine improved the battlefield's fortunes with a unified pledge of support and fresh sanctions against Russia. Trump's comment, a tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement of an unspoken truth hanging over the June 15 to 17 summit of the Group of 7 Western powers and the French resort of Evian-le-Bain, followed a joint leader statement that could bolster Kyiv's growing leverage in potential peace talks with Moscow. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his allies came to the G7 hoping to convince Trump that Ukraine's fight back is delivering results and that Russia is in no position to dictate terms for any peace deal. The joint statement and comments from leaders suggest Trump has warmed to Zelensky's argument after years of skepticism. Rex Heuermann, known as the Gilgo Beach serial killer who admitted to brutally murdering 8 women, received the maximum sentence on Wednesday. Heuermann will serve 3 life sentences for first-degree murder, plus 25 years to life on 4 second-degree murder charges, all running consecutively. The sentencing in New York followed a series of angry, poignant statements as victims' family members described how the brutal losses created lifelong devastation for them. In April, Harman confirmed that he strangled and bound his victims before scattering their remains along Long Island's remote beaches. After initially pleading not guilty, Harman ultimately admitted to the murders of Melissa Barthelemy, 24, Megan Waterman, 22, and Amber Costello, 27, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, Jessica Taylor, 20, Valerie Mark, 24, Sandra Costilla, 28, and Karen Vegata, 34. Beg your pardon. President Donald Trump of the U.S. said on Wednesday that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could use a softer touch in the fight against Hezbollah militants in Lebanon, the U.S. president's latest public rebuke to his partner in the war on Iran. Netanyahu and Trump have repeatedly clashed over Israel's refusal to constrain its pursuit of Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon, where a cessation of hostilities is a key Iranian demand under a limited interim agreement with the U.S. The Israeli leader helped convince Trump to go to war against Iran, according to U.S. and Israeli officials, and joined in attacks launched on February 28. But Netanyahu has Israel is not bound by any U.S.-Iran agreement in its fight against Hezbollah, though hostilities in Lebanon have abated somewhat since Trump sharply criticized him earlier this week. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said on Wednesday that U.S. President Donald Trump has the right to have an electoral preference in Brazil, but warned his U.S. counterpart to stay out of this year's elections. Lula, who intends to run for re-election in October's vote, made the comments shortly after Trump told reporters that Brazil has become a little rough and dangerous politically. The jabs were the latest back and forth in the up-and-down relationship between the two leaders, who were both in Switzerland on Wednesday for the last day of the G7 summit. Lula's main challenger in polls is Senator Flavio Bolsonaro, son of Trump ally and Brazil's ex-president Jair Bolsonaro, who is living under house arrest after he was convicted last year of plotting a coup after the 2022 election. The U.S. president met with Senator Bolsonaro last month alongside his brother Eduardo, a former lawmaker living in the United States. Trump had met with Lula just a few weeks earlier. Authorities in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are searching for a 6-year-old Ebola patient and her mother after armed men stormed the hospital where they were being treated. The child was taken from Wanamahika Hospital in the city of Butembo by very angry men with knives. That's according to local health official Dr. Lubambo Maboko Gaston. It is unclear whether the men were known to the child, but suspicion and fear surrounding Ebola treatment centers have been rife during the current outbreak. In an interview with the media, Gaston urged the child and her mother to go to a health center as they risked worsening their health and infecting their relatives. Ebola treatment facilities have come under attack multiple times during the ongoing outbreak, in which almost 200 deaths and 840 cases have been confirmed. Somaliland's Defense Minister Mohammed Yusuf Ali says Israel has no base in Somaliland but is training its police and military forces as the breakaway territory appealed for Israeli investment in agriculture and other sectors. Yusuf Ali was part of a large delegation to Israel this week to mark Somaliland President Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullah's first official visit. After Israel became the first country to formally recognize Somaliland as an independent state in December. Strategically situated in the Horn of Africa, Somaliland has enjoyed effective autonomy and relative peace and stability since 1991, when it broke away from Somalia as that country descended into civil war. Somalia rejected Israel's recognition of Somaliland and termed it a deliberate attack on its sovereignty. A prominent Ugandan lawyer representing detained opposition figure Kizza Besigye was charged with a treason-related offense on Wednesday, days after he was arrested by security forces. Besigye appeared in court and denied the charge of misprision or treason or failing to report treason to authorities and was remanded in custody. Lukwago is representing Besigye in a treason trial and in a related case in which Besigye sued the country's military chief, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, for repeatedly threatening his life on social media. Kainerugaba is the son of Uganda's president, Yoweri Museveni, 81, who won a disputed presidential election in January that extended his four-decade rule. Uganda's main opposition leader, pop singer turned politician Bobi Wine, who is in exile in the U.S., said on Monday that soldiers had seized Lukwago as he was preparing to serve a court summons on the military chief. Ahead of the 81st session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, Nigeria has signed a recommitment to the Charter of the United Nations and the UN 80 reform agenda in line with its obligations under international law. Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Jimoh Ibrahim, signed the recommitment on behalf of President Bola Tinubu, stating that Nigeria remains firmly dedicated to global peace, both at home and within the international system. Ambassador Ibrahim, who also serves as chairman, Budget Appropriations and Administrations Committee, 5th Committee of the United Nations, said the move reflects Nigeria's confidence in the future of the UN and underscores the country's commitment to international cooperation, collaboration, and the promotion of global peace and stability.
Signed this, and we signed today on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that Nigeria is committed to UN 80 reforms and that the future is very bright. And the United Nations is about collaboration and cooperation for the sustainment of peace of Nigeria, and Nigeria is committed to the UN Charter, particularly Article 24 and 27 of that Charter, and the equality of states. Thank you.
In the related engagement, Nigeria's envoy Jimoh Ibrahim received United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed at the Nigeria Mission House, where she was briefed on Nigeria's strategic direction within the United Nations system. The meeting also reinforced the mission's commitment to working closely with UN leadership in implementing a 90-day strategic agenda aimed at positioning Nigeria as a stronger voice in global affairs. A London Crown Court has acquitted Nigeria's former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diezani Alison Madueke, clearing her of all bribery and corruption charges. Following a grueling 5-month trial, the jury returned a unanimous not guilty verdict on all 6 counts of accepting bribes and conspiracy. Alison Madueke, who managed Nigeria's oil sector between 2010 and 2015, had consistently maintained her innocence throughout the decade-long international investigation. AIT's foreign news editor, Shola Jaisimi, has the details.
British investigators allege that Diezani Alison Madueke received at least £100,000 in cash, along with benefits that prosecutors characterized as, quote, financial or other advantages, including private jet flights, chauffeur-driven cars, the use and upkeep of upscale London properties, luxury goods, and school fees for her son. The charges were authorized in 2023, 8 years after the former minister was arrested in London. This was a few months after she left office, with the UK's National Crime Agency alleging that it suspected Alison Madueke abused her power and accepted rewards in exchange for helping steer multi-million-pound contracts to associates, including her elder brother. When the trial opened before Justice Taunton, Alison Madueke denied wrongdoing and told the court during a cross-examination, court sessions attended by AIT on a couple of occasions, that she acted under the instruction of higher authorities, insisting that approvals were made above her head, stressing that she was a rubber stamp. She told the court that allegations that she profited from PECs were not correct and faulted the prosecution's allegations. With a 10-year prison sentence staring her, if convicted under the United Kingdom's Bribery Act, her defense team has now successfully convinced the jury that Alison Madueke did no wrong. The 6-member jury has now unanimously agreed with the defense. She told journalists outside the courthouse that she, quote, did not steal nothing, and her country threw her to the woods, her exact words. In 2017, Nigerian authorities filed money laundering charges against her in a separate case alleging payments to influence election officials ahead of the 2015 election. In 2017, the United States Justice Department recovered more than $53 million in allegedly corrupting oil proceeds laundered through the U.S. Shola Jaisimi, AIT News, Abuja.
5 kidnapped victims have been rescued by troops of the 12th Brigade Nigerian Army in Agbeda, Kababunu local government area of Kogi State. Military authorities said the rescue operation is part of a renewed collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor to dismantle bandit networks and their kingpins.
They're shouting, anybody that run, they will shoot him.
For 17 days, I did not eat. I was drinking that gutter water.
Eunice and Lola have just been rescued from the camps of deadly kidnappers. Their rescue comes from the heroics of the Nigerian military personnel who are on a renewed mission to clear Kogi State of bandits. The victims narrate their ordeal in the hands of their captives.
2 days ago, they came into the bush. We heard them. Then yesterday, they came exactly where we were. Like me, literally, I could see them, the helicopter, because it was above, it was just like close to where we were.
Freedom at last. Eunice and the other victims are grateful to the troops for saving their lives. For the army, the milestone underscores the commitment of the Nigerian military to sustain the onslaught against criminal gangs, to restore peace and orderliness in critical flashpoints across Kogi State.
Okay, a total of 5 as at yesterday. However, as I speak, the operation is ongoing to rescue more citizens kidnapped by this deadly bandit group.
Yeah, the Ministry of Health is here, just as I said, to look to assess the victims' health and then take charge to ensure that they fully recovered, attend to their health needs.
The call now is for stronger interagency collaboration and intelligence sharing to scale up kinetic operations and checkmate emerging security threats in the state and its environs. Tehumba Akaya, AIT News, Lokoja.
Ahead of the June 18 National Security Summit organized by the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, in partnership with security agencies, the president of the NUJ, Al-Hassan Yahya, told journalists in Abuja on Wednesday that the summit will enhance stronger collaboration between the media and security agencies to effectively address Nigeria's security challenges and promote national development. Yahya also expressed optimism that discussions and recommendations from the summit will strengthen trust, deepen mutual understanding, and enhance cooperation between journalists and security institutions.
This summit is not intended to undermine independence of media or operational responsibility of our security agencies. Rather, it is designed to deepen understanding, provide dialogue, and establish a framework for cooperation that benefits Nigerians.
The NUJ further acknowledged the participation of security chiefs, media executives, policy makers, and development partners, urging them to contribute constructively during the summit.
The relationship between both institutions must therefore be built on mutual respect, professionalism, trust, and shared commitment to the common good among media practitioners, security experts, government officials, and other relevant stakeholders to examine emerging security challenges, explore ways the media and security agencies can work together more effectively.
The security conference themed media and security agencies as partners in nation building will feature interactive sessions aimed at identifying practical pathways for strengthening cooperation between the media and security institutions in support of national security and development. A federal high court in Abuja has directed the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, to reinstate the registration of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN, and recognize Ambassador Sukubo Saraigbe Sukubo alongside other members of its board of trustees. The court also ordered the immediate dissolution of the Interim Management Committee headed by Buhari Shehu, which was established by the CAC and the Federal Ministry of Youth Development to oversee the council's affairs, ruling that its creation and continued operation were unlawful. The ruling is contained in the certified true copy of the judgment delivered by Justice Binta Nyako on June 5 and dated June 11, which was made available to journalists in Abuja on Monday. The suit, filed by the incorporated trustees of the NYCN and Ambassador Sukubo Saraigbe Sukubo, who serves as the council's president and secretary of the BOT, against the Registrar General of the CAC, the Minister of Youth Development, and the Federal Ministry of Youth Development. In her judgment, Justice Yako held that the CAC does not possess the legal authority to determine the tenure of leaders of registered associations or appoint interim management committees for such organizations. One of the aspirants that contested the Lagos House of Assembly Etiosa constituency won ticket, John Ademola Akanwo, has cried out to the leadership of the party over the planned imposition of a candidate who never aspired for the position as the preferred candidate to represent the party come the 2027 general election. Akanwo, who briefed journalists in Lagos, described the move as an injustice which negates internal democracy and free will to contest political positions by qualified persons.
The primary election across all the political parties in the country may have come and gone, but without some issues raised by aspirants demanding for justice. According to John Ademola Akanwo, one of the aspirants for Etiosa Constituency 1 at the Lagos State House of Assembly under the National Democratic Congress, he described as worrisome the sudden substitution of his name after the party's primary was conducted at their constituency, with another aspirant who never indicated any interest, but declared for the Etiosa Federal Constituency at the National Assembly.
It is therefore with profound shock, concern, and disappointment that I have become aware of moves to award, allocate, and otherwise confer the party's ticket for Etiosa Constituency 1 upon an individual who neither purchased nomination form, expressed interest in the position, participated in the screening process, not subjected himself or herself to the democratic nomination procedure established by the party.
Of the party to consider its plea for a redress as he submits his appeal to the Primary Election Monitoring Committee for their consideration. The leadership of the NDC, after the violence which took place during the primary at Etiosa Constituency 1, took a decision to cancel the exercise. The question in the lips of many now is why the planned declaration of the party's flag bearer for Etiosa 1 constituency outside the aspirants who presented themselves before the delegates. Obiunume, AIT News, Lagos.
That's the world news on Kakaaki, the African voice, but don't go away. We have more reports for you on Kakaaki Business.
Hello and welcome to Kakaaki Business. We start with the employment plan in China. China State Council has released its next 5-year employment plan, placing job creation and labor market stability at the center of its economic strategy. The plan aims to implement an employment-first strategy while preventing large-scale unemployment risk. The policy outlines measures to stabilize jobs in labor-intensive sectors such as light manufacturing, textile, foreign trade, and construction, which remain key drivers of employment in the country. It also prioritizes expansion in service sector, including elderly care, childcare, tourism, and catering as China continues to adjust its economic structure. The plan further highlights the role of artificial intelligence in reshaping the labor market, promoting new forms of human-machine collaboration, and using AI to boost job creation and public service. Authority says the strategy is designed to ensure a broadly stable job market while supporting economic transformation in the years ahead. And the UK, Britain's Competition and Market Authority has ordered Google to increase transparency in how its search results are ranked as part of new measures aimed at ensuring fairness for businesses. The regulator said the move follows concerns over Google dominance in the search market, which led to its designation with strategic market status. Under the new requirement, Google must make its ranking system more transparent and provide clearer information when changes are made to search results. The CME also directed the tech giant to allow users to transfer their search data to approved third-party services, increasing competition and user control. Officials say the measures are designed to ensure search results are fair, objective, and open to scrutiny while improving accountability in the digital market. And in Africa, South African major labor union have urged workers not to participate in planned anti-immigrant protests, warning that skipping work could carry consequences. The union issued a warning ahead of a June 30 deadline set by anti-immigrant groups demanding the removal of undocumented foreigners from the country. They cautioned that the planned protests could trigger unrest following weeks of rising xenophobic tensions and isolated violent attacks. The union, including COSATU and other major labor federations, said blaming migrants will not solve economic challenges such as unemployment and weak public services. They also reiterated government calls for unity while confirming that workers who stay away from work for protest will not be protected. In Nigeria, the International Monetary Fund says Nigeria accounts for about 60% of stablecoin inflows into sub-Saharan Africa, highlighting the country's growing role in digital finance. The IMF estimates that Nigeria received about $59 billion in crypto asset inflows between July 2023 and June 2024, describing the trend as significant despite data limitations. It noted that stablecoins have become an important channel for cross-border payments, especially for household and small businesses. According to the report, adoption surged in 2023 and 2024 due to economic pressures, including naira depreciation, inflation, and limited access to foreign exchange. The fund warned, however, that increased reliance on dollar-backed digital assets could pose risk to monetary policy and financial stability. And marketers say petrol prices could fall to about 1,200 naira per litre following recent reduction in ex-depot prices by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. The refinery cuts its gantry price from 1,250 to 1,175 naira per litre, citing easy global oil tensions and improved crude supply conditions. Depot owners have also adjusted their price downward, although retail stations have yet to reflect the changes at the pump. Marketers says old stock purchased at higher prices is slowing immediate price reduction as operators seek to avoid losses. Industry sources say pump price may gradually decline to 1,200 naira and 1,300 naira depending on location as new stocks enter the market. The Nigerian Exchange Group is intensifying efforts to attract investors from the Middle East into Nigeria's capital market. The group chairman, Umaru Kwairanga, made the appeal during a visit to the Abu Dhabi Security Exchange, where he discussed investment opportunities and possible collaboration. He highlighted the planned initial public offering of the Dangote refinery as a major investment opportunity expected to draw global interest. Kwairanga said Nigeria's capital market has seen significant growth in market capitalization and equity performance in recent years. He expressed optimism that increased international participation will deepen liquidity and strengthen confidence in Nigeria's financial market. And lastly, the Association of Indigenous Contractors of Nigeria North Central Zone has questioned the federal government reported disbursement of 700 billion naira to contractors, saying many of its members who executed government projects are yet to receive payments. Addressing a press conference in Abuja, the association representative, Gunemi Romanos, said contractors are unable to identify the beneficiaries of the payment, raising concerns over accountability and transparency in the disbursement process.
I hereby call on the Minister of Finance to try to substantiate that claim by making available the list of contractors that benefited from this 700 billion. We, the Indigenous Association of Contractors, are planning to resume protests at the Federal Ministry of Finance if our demands are not met. And our demands include...
I'm calling on Mr. President, please, listen to the cry of the indigenous contractors and do something about it. And also, the Akata General Minister of Finance stop the payment of lease. Many contractors are in Zamfara. They are further contractors. Many are in Bauchi, Sokoto, Kebbi, Lagos, Ogun State, Port Harcourt. None them but a few who have not received their payment. They won't be flying every day to Abuja. It's not insecurity in Nigeria today.
The association called on the Federal Ministry of Finance to ensure that all eligible contractors benefit from the ongoing payment without discrimination. It also proposed a payment structure based on contract value to guarantee fairness to both small and large contractors.
Implementation of a capital expenditure component of the budget will always hamper the economic growth of the country. The Honorable Minister, you know this. When local contractors are not paid, small businesses will struggle. And when small businesses struggle, it will affect the economy of the country. Jobs will be lost, revenue to government will be lost, because there is no activity in the economy.
Indigenous contractors, Northeast, we call North Central, we beacon on the institution, especially the Ministry of Finance, who is in charge of financial matters. We call on him to ensure that our payments are duly paid. We call on him not to honor a selected list. We call on him to see that due process are followed.
AICN further appealed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to intervene in the payment of contractors engaged by the Federal Capital Territory Administration, alleging that some members have outstanding payment for projects executed more than 3 years ago, while reaffirming his commitment to partner with government on quality project delivery. And that's it on Kakaaki Business. Good morning.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation. Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political Platform, now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You are still on to Kakaaki, the African Voice. We have a few more reports that I would like to bring to you this morning, especially looking at the situation that took place on Tuesday in Kaduna State, which has been hit by another armed bandit attack, which left 9 people dead and about a dozen injured. That incident took place late on Tuesday at Ungwamagaji in Karu local government area of Kaduna State. And survivors say the attackers arrived on motorcycles and opened fire indiscriminately, similar to the Ungwan-Rukuba attack in Jos a few months ago. Let's take a look at the report.
To a leader of the Civilian Joint Task Force who spoke to AIT News on condition of anonymity. The armed bandits invaded the community on motorcycles at around 11 p.m. Armed with dangerous weapons, the attackers shot sporadically, killing 9 residents, including women and children. 11 other community members sustained varying degrees of injuries. The local vigilante group is urgently appealing to the federal government and state authorities, as well as security agencies, for immediate intervention. They stress that the survivors are in critical condition and desperately require medical attention and humanitarian aid. Residents are also requesting for the deployment of security operatives, enhanced intelligence gathering, and continuous patrols to prevent a reoccurrence. Meanwhile, community leaders are urging locals to remain law-abiding and report any suspicious activities to security agencies. At the time of filing this report, efforts to reach the Kaduna State Police Command for official comments were unsuccessful.
Disaster.
Okay, now let's move on to more cheering news now. In Niger State, relief is finally on the horizon for the victims of last year's devastating flood in Mokwa. A groundbreaking ceremony has been held for the new resettlement housing project in Mokwa town, and that project is a joint intervention by the federal government through NEMA and the Niger State government. It aims to provide permanent, durable shelter for hundreds of displaced residents.
For victims like Nana Sani and Amina Abubakar, the commencement of work brings a mix of relief and urgency. State and local officials have assured residents that the project will meet strict quality standards and face no delays.
I want to assure you the quality and standard of the houses will be equal to any standard that you can see anywhere.
Displaced families are not left in the prolonged displacement, but are instead provided with immediate access to decent, safe, and affordable housing.
We are anxious, we are desperate, and we are forward-looking to see that these houses are delivered to us and handed over to the victims.
To prevent future disasters, Mokwa Local Government Chairman Jibrim Muregi also inaugurated a new climate committee. The team will drive local environmental sustainability efforts and oversee the ongoing 1 million trees planting campaign. Zachary Omale, AIT News, Mokwa.
All right, Zachary Omale's report there looking at the project that will be bringing relief to hundreds of displaced residents from the very devastating flooding that took place in Mokwa in Niger State last year. Of course, you do know that very many people were displaced alongside several other people who were not found, especially a whole bunch of children who disappeared and have not been found till date after that flood incident. Very sad case there. So we do hope that when this new resettlement housing project is completed, these people will have some measure of relief, of course, giving them housing and of course giving them succor after such a devastating natural disaster. But nothing can really comfort them for the loss of their loved ones, those who were swept away by the flood in that particular flood incident. Now let's move on to something that affects the whole of the West African sub-region, where more than 200 million people across West Africa still lack access to electricity, despite the region's vast solar, wind and hydro energy potentials. At a 5-day joint committee meeting of the ECOWAS Parliament in Dakar, Senegal, lawmakers are exploring ways to close that gap and advance the bloc's target of increasing renewable energy's share of the regional electricity mix to 48% by 2030, which is just 4 years away. Let's look at what the report that our correspondent Iseme Ozekome has brought in.
In Dakar, Senegal, lawmakers, energy experts, development partners, and private sector stakeholders have converged to examine how renewable energy can help tackle electricity shortages and stimulate growth in rural communities across West Africa.
Every energy policy must explicitly incorporate the objectives of local economic development and eradicate of energy poverty. We must therefore put in place appropriate measures to address challenges such as financing, technological transfer, and local ownership in rural areas of West Africa.
Speakers at the event highlighted Senegal's growing investment in solar energy, pointing to projects that are already expanding electricity access and creating opportunities in rural communities.
Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, notre mission intervient dans un contexte marqué par un déséquilibre préoccupant entre l'offre et la demande énergétique dans notre espace sous-régional.
Held under the theme, Harnessing Renewable Energy for Rural Electrification and Rural Economies in ECOWAS Region, the role of the ECOWAS Parliaments. The 5-day meeting is expected to produce recommendations aimed at strengthening energy policy, expanding electricity access, and advancing sustainable development across West Africa. Itseme Ozekome, ART News, Dakar.
It's amazing that West Africa, replete with rivers like the Niger and others, still lacks electricity for more than 200 million people. Really amazing. And for a region that is sun-swept all year round, access to solar power shouldn't also be a problem. But all of that are things that the ECOWAS Parliament's Joint Committee is seeking to remedy, because electricity in today's world is an absolute essential. You can imagine that without electricity, you can't even watch me as I am here in the studio. Neither can I work, because the studio will be totally inoperative without electricity. So it's become a basic and a necessity of life to have electricity, whether at home or at work, or even if it's in a battery that's connected to your phone as you travel on your way to work or to whatever your destination is. So electricity is getting close to oxygen. It's almost on the same level with data now. If you don't have internet service, it's like there's something missing. And the world knows that internet connectivity is very, very important. So is electricity. So let's hope that these 200 million people across West Africa will be able to access electricity in some form, at least for a number of hours every day by the year 2030. Amazing that we're still talking about such a topic in this day and age, but it's better late than never. All right, Kakaaki, the African Voice, we'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll bring you our social intervention segments.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Fit in 60 Seconds with Jolly Phillips. Now, everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go! back to our cooking series. So now what are we doing? We're doing leg over. So you can either pass it under or that way. Are you ready? Your time starts now. Why don't we start with the knees first? Let's start with the knees. Yes. Pass it over. Under. Yes, those knees. That's it. Keep going. What set of muscles are we working here? Abs, of course. The higher your knees go, the more you work your abs. Now, coming down to 30 seconds left. Let's change it to straight legs. Come on, let's go. Super. That's it. You can't extend your legs, that's fine. Just stay with the knees up. Pass it under. That's it. Awesome job. Keep going. Awesome. How are we doing? We all right? Of course we are. We're almost there. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Super job. Well done. Well done! I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye!
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to the Leadership Clinic. Today I'll be speaking on what I've simply titled, Mind the Company You Keep. There's an old saying, show me your friends and I will show you your future. It is an absolute truth that only those who lead, who have capacity to make a difference, who have dared to be the best they can ever be, these are those who can associate the facts of the matter to what we're talking about here today. So the 5 people you spend most of the time with will shape your thinking, your habits, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. If you surround yourself with complainers, you become a complainer. I was telling my staff this morning and I said, look, when you came on board, you came with so much energy. But it looks like you started hanging out with some guys, some fellows. And so I can see it on you. If you surround yourself with dreamers who never execute, you will stay stuck in dreaming. Every day you wake up in the morning, you say you want to do, you want to be, you want to do A, B, C, D, E, and you never get them done. So if you surround yourself with people who cut corners, you will start cutting corners too. There's no two ways about it. But if you surround yourself with people of integrity, people with vision, people with discipline, people who just want growth, you rise to that level. This does not mean you abandon everyone who isn't successful. It means that you are intentional about who has great influence around you. I remember the days I was growing up, floating got me in my early days. Every time I wanted to hang around with those who have gone far ahead of me, people like Mr. Gabala Nosode, people like Professor Otomi, some of the great minds, I wanted to hang out with them. My peers then, people like Fela Durutoye, I mean, these were guys, Lanre Olushola, I mean, Nia Desina, these were all guys who were all pushing to become outstanding and making a difference. I remember when we have conversations for hours about how to transform Nigeria, about to make a difference. At the end of the day, we are pumped up to actually make things happen. Do the people around you challenge you to grow? That's my question. Or do they keep you comfortable in mediocrity? For the political class, what are the type of people you hang out with? Are they those who talk about how to steal Nigeria dry? If you hang around with people with capacity to build this country as a politician, guess what? You'll be able to make a difference. You cannot soar with eagles if you're surrounded by chickens. Evaluate your circle, and if you need to create some distance from certain people, do it. Do it with love, but do it.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
The issues as they break, the multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy. And our government seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should sit back and go. Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it was for that reason in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. People, politics, and power brings context and clarity to issues and events in governance, democracy, and development. On People, Politics, and Power, we feature people who shape the events and define the issues.
A lot of the agencies are still struggling with implementation of freedom of information.
The government should come. We need Nigeria to work.
We examine the interplay and interaction of politics with power and their impact on policies and the people.
It's about getting the system to deliver the kind of electoral outcome that people will be happy with.
People, Politics, and Power with Imoni Amarere.
Will low-performing agencies be held to account? Or will the numbers fade after the headlines?
At 1 p.m. every Monday and Friday.
The stories now break online. Don't miss miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content, follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get
the stories now break online. The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official on air, online, on live.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Kakaaki, the African Voice, going into the newspaper review this morning. And I must apologize that we are taking off exactly 6 minutes behind schedule. We had an unexpected technical hitch that we had to quickly work on. But it's good that we are here on now, so let's get rolling. I have with me in the studio, of course, Chizoba Ogbeche, the deputy editor of the Blueprint newspaper, and Chuks Akuna, who is the executive director of the Authority newspaper. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Yes, good morning.
All right, let's look at the papers that we have for review this morning. We'll start with the Daily Assets, and it leads with the story. Bribery UK court clears Diezani, brother, oil executive, on all counts. And the writers say ex-minister found not guilty on 6 bribery-related charges. Verdict ends decade-long prosecution over alleged luxury benefits. You'll find details of that story on page 2 of the paper. Now let's move on to the Daily Global, also the same story. Different headline, London court acquits Alison Madueke of all corruption charges. That's the headline there on the front page of the Daily Global. The authority also goes the same way. Bribery charges. UK court acquits Diezani, Alison Madueke, and that story flows from the front page to page 2 of the paper, the authority newspaper this morning. This Nigeria has a very interesting way of putting its own headline on this same story. Bribery, no oil stains on Diezani. UK court rules. Ex-petroleum minister acquitted on 6 counts. You'll find details of that on page 2 of this Nigeria this morning. And let's go now to the Daily Monitor. Tinubu focused on re-election politics than safety, welfare of citizens. Minority reps saying that. And what are the writers to that story on the front page of the paper? Accused president of failing to tackle worsening insecurity, deepening economic hardship, mounting threats to democratic institutions. Ask Tinubu to suspend all political activities related to 2027 polls. Announce a 6-month national security economic recovery plan. That is what the Daily Monitor leads with this morning. On the front page of the Daily Trust, fix insecurity or step aside, reps tell Tinubu. You read details from the front page there, continuing on pages 3 and 4 of the paper. The Nigerian pilot also takes us same story. Insecurity, Nigeria is bleeding. Writers say opposition lawmakers tell Tinubu demands immediate emergency security plan, accuse federal government of focusing on 2027 while Nigerians groan under insecurity, economic hardship. All right, let's go to the Whistler, and the paper takes a critical look at kidnapping, saying ransom rises by 750% in 2 years. Kidnappers demanded 64 billion naira in 3 years. Inflation fueling rising demand, SBM intelligence. The graphics of that also showing the spread of kidnapping and, of course, ransom taking across Nigeria, given different colors. All right, let's go to the next paper now, the Daily Sun. Terror groups Mamudawa, Lakurawa members nabbed. And the writers say gunmen kill Monarch, 9 others injure 11 in Plateau, Kaduna. Observers Times is the next paper we're looking at. It leads with the story. Ododo declares total war on bandits, terrorists in Kogi Forest, vows to deploy every lawful resource to protect citizens. DSS begins elite training for new forest guards in the state. Okay, let's go look at Chizoba's paper now, the blueprint. And its own top story says, Ekiti 2026, IGP deploys CP Shogunle, promises violence-free poll. Dongba Mensem constitutes appeal tribunal. The story you'll find on page 8 of the paper, and just above the masthead. The paper does not miss that headline. UK court frees ex-petroleum minister Diezani of corruption charges. The Vanguard takes a look at something completely different. Jakpa, that's how it puts it. Only 55,000 doctors left to treat 220 million Nigerians. That's the focus, the top headline of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. 16,000 doctors emigrated in 5 years. Nigeria's mental health crisis worsening. ARD, FNPH, Yaba. All right. Now let's go to, I'm going to the next paper now, which is, of course, Yes, let's go and see what The Guardian has for us this morning. The Guardian newspaper. Okay, I don't have that just yet. Let's go to the Independent. Let's go to the Daily Independent. Long queues, safety fears, others threaten Nigeria's CNG shift. And that story flows from the front page of the paper into the inside pages this morning. Standard Times lists its own story this way. FG states LGC's share 2.300 trillion May 2026 revenue. And of course, moving on to the Guardian newspaper now. Can we have the Guardian newspaper now? All right, the Guardian newspaper leads with the story. 2027 polls, conflicting court orders, weak oversight, raise credibility doubts. You'll find the details of that on page 6 of the paper. And let's go to the Nigerian News Direct. Nigerian News Direct. FG launches new digital switch over platform set to drive job creation. And moving on to the Leadership newspaper, we have a different headline there. FG rules out new telecoms tax, reaffirms VAT waiver on fuel. You'll find details on page 4 of the paper. Al Jazeera Nigeria, GBV, FG to establish safe spaces in 774 local government areas amidst 2,755 reported cases in 4 months. 23 cases daily, says Minister. That's talking about gender-based violence. Okay, I guess that's the last paper that we have for us this morning. I think what takes the cake on in all of these papers this morning, when you look at their headlines, is the story about Diezani Alice Madueke. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. It's been so long that the lady has faced trial in the UK.
11
investigation. Oh, so long, 11 whole years. Let me start with you, Chizoba. She's a lady like me.
You know, we can't question the law. So we'll say, like they say, as your Lord pleases. So we've accepted the judgment at the court. Your Lord pleases. So the pronouncement that she wasn't found guilty, the jury, 6-count charge against her. And like I said, it took 11 years to come to the end of this trial with a former Nigerian president also testifying in her favor. So there are a lot of issues that come into place. But it also goes, yes, is a kind of knock for the anti-corruption agencies in the country, because they also have charges against her and be trying to repatriate her for trial here. So with this judgment, the likelihood that the UK government will accede to that is almost not there. But it also goes to show that it's not just the Nigerian anti-corruption agencies or judiciary that takes long for prosecution of cases. Well, if we accepted judgments from the same country when prominent Nigerians were found guilty, including 2 former governors and 1 who had to run back dressed like a woman as always, and the former deputy Senate president. Therefore, we cannot question this judgment. If we accepted those when it was in favor of what we wanted, now that it seems not to be against it, and it's a country that has a track record of doing due diligence in its prosecution. But it also goes to show that the anti-corruption agencies need to do more work or do less of media trials than the proper trial itself. Because if you follow the trend of the story, it was like a slam dunk. It was like Dezani must be found guilty because all the evidence they were showing. So one begins to wonder, did they not have their facts right? That's the question that people will now ask. Did they not have their facts right? How come she was able to escape the sentence they were hoping for? But we know that it should not also discourage them. But we can do better. I think that's the takeaway from it.
We can do better. Chooks, what do you think? I'm looking at the headline of the leadership on this story. It says, reactions as UK court clears Dezani of bribery charges. What are your reactions?
It depends on what side of the divide you are. Like Chizoba said, there's been a lot of frenzy, media frenzy on Dezani. And, as a human being, I'm happy for her because, for 11 years, she's been vilified across the world. She's been, she suffered a lot of tremendous media trial. And also, the lesson to be learned is that the law all over the world, the wheel of justice turns very slowly, all across the world. Because I think most times when the law is always very careful, it's better, like they say, there's this maxim in law that it's better to allow 1,000 guilty men go scot-free than to hound or to imprison one innocent man. So I think the law is on the side of caution, and that's what has played out in the UK. And we're discussing backstage if there's any might want to return to Nigeria, to continue her life. She's 65 or so, and if she want to rather remain in the UK because she's gone through a lot. If you ask me, she's gone through a lot.
Yeah, the media trial. The media also focused on her personal challenges, her health challenges as
exactly.
well.
During her marital
crisis, her marital issues.
Everything was fair game for the media at that time.
As long as it was designed. We saw what happened here last Thursday when the committee, some members of the Senate committee on public accounts, actually, I think it was a similar story. But then it had to do with the immediate past Group MD of NNPCL, Mele Kyari. We saw what happened the following day when the Senate came to disown Senator Adams or Shomole, that was his personal opinion. He didn't represent the position of the Senate Committee on Public Accounts. So it would seem that anybody who has presided over our oil industry, gets stained, and that's why I like the way
this Nigeria puts it. No oil stains on Dezani.
So you see that once you come close to our petroleum industry, you get stained, whether you like, whether by design or by default.
Okay.
Reactions.
Okay, if I may say something.
Go ahead.
Like talking about reactions, some people have asked what will happen to our assets that were seized. You also know that finding somebody not guilty does not mean that there is no evidence of guilt of crime. It's just that you were not able to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt. And it is a given that during anti-corruption, if there is any evidence of crime or wrongdoing, the anti-corruption agencies can seek for forfeiture. Yes, temporary forfeiture of those assets until they can actually prove the case, and then they get permanent forfeiture.
But it sounds to me like apples and oranges because the acquittal we're talking about happened in the UK.
Yes.
Forfeiture of property happened in Nigeria.
Yes.
So maybe we're talking about two different jurisdictions. But let me quickly take a few reactions from our YouTube channel now. RRD S25QM says, now that Dezani has been freed by the UK court, what's the APC going to use against His Excellency GEJ and the PDP again? Nevertheless, give us the full details of that court judgment. Well, we don't have the full details. When the CTC comes out, you get to see it. All right. Priya Dakolo says, if President Tinubu suspends all his 2027 political activities, will the opposition do the same? Prime Business Consult says, incorruptible UK what? Haven't you heard of a plea bargain and other deals that corrupt politicians curry from countries like UK for Nigeria's petrodollars. Don't be naive. Well, just a few of the...
Well, Mr. Kunle, when you're talking about apple and oranges, whether a different jurisdiction, you cannot try it twice for the same. It's double jeopardy.
It's double jeopardy.
And it will seem like persecution if Nigeria goes ahead to try. Yes, they could come up with other allegations or charges, but what's the likelihood of seeing it through? That's the question.
That's a real question. Now, but let's go to another issue now and look at the Daily Monitor and the Daily Trust, their headlines. The Daily Trust says, fix insecurity or step aside, reps tell Tinubu, while the Daily Monitor says Tinubu is focused on re-election politics rather than safety, welfare of citizens, minority reps. Now, a change of leadership in the minority of the House of Reps, and this hammer is coming out. Chooks.
No, it's expected. You have to. How else would you grab the headlines if you didn't say that? You know, how else would you announce your arrival if you didn't say that? We have how many months to the elections, and of course, you know, it's like double standards. All the reps, even the man in question, is also focused on his own re-election. That's the truth.
That's Honorable Fred Agbe.
Yes, he's also focused on his own re-election. So is every politician, you know. So
But if you read that story,
over governance.
The caucus actually said that the government should declare a 6-month emergency, which will mean a suspension of all political activity.
And also said if he cannot govern, he should leave.
He should leave.
But the issue is that, and if he does not accede to their 72 hours, which by now should be like 48 hours, ultimatum, what happens?
Yes.
Because you don't give ultimatum without consequences. What happens? If not, it looks like you're playing to the gallery.
If it decides, which is very certain, I mean, given, if we're going to borrow a leaf from history, from our recent history, if it decides to call their bluff, you know, what happens? And like I keep saying this thing, it's security is a collective thing. We've been talking about this, you know, time and again. Look at, there's this, you know, and I keep talking about values. There's this death sentence, a Kogi High Court sentenced one man to death on Tuesday. And what happened? You know, he happened to be the neighbor of a hotelier in Obajana. You know, he kidnapped the man. You know, apparently the man later, the family raised 2.5 million and gave the kidnappers. So apparently in the course of handling the man, the victim spotted the neighbor, you know, and because he had spotted the neighbor, you know, they ended up killing him. They killed him. You understand? So it's and then you can imagine somebody who's been his neighbor for maybe 10, 20 years, you know, just because he's a hotelier, he feels he has money. And there's every excuse serves an evildoer. The kind of insecurity we find now, sometimes, I mean, it's mind-boggling. You know, it's not just people kidnapping people on the highway. You know, even now, you know, business associates, friends, you know, family members.
Self-kidnapping.
Yeah.
People kidnap themselves.
You understand?
They fake their own
kidnap. So
because it has become big
business. So you saw that woman who alleged to have been kidnapped in Benin, who even put the family through so much embarrassment. The daughter in Canada had to, you know, go on social media to say her mother had been kidnapped, only to end up finding her in the arms of her lover in Delta State.
Kidnapped by her
But
lover.
she claimed that the money was for political, to run for office.
Okay, look at, okay.
No,
Sorry, 1 minute. Sometimes people claim that it's because of poverty, you know. And then look at the deputy chairman in Ekiti. Would you say that a deputy chairman of a council is poor by any standard?
Exactly. We were talking about that one. That was about 2 weeks ago.
You understand? Would you say that someone who's already elected as a deputy chairman of a council?
Let's take this to the headline of the Whistler this morning, because if you take a look at what the Whistler put out this morning, it says that ransom rises by 750% in 2 years.
Yeah, so it has become big business. So even I feel so sorry for law enforcement agents, security agents, because now you go to the police station to report that somebody has been kidnapped. You know, the policeman you are reporting to is also at a loss about what to do, because they don't see tire. You know, they've seen several instances where people come and report, you know, and so they take their time, because sometimes they say, are you sure this thing is real? Because they don't, like I said, they don't see time. I mean, different kind of stories. So it becomes difficult to decipher or to sift through the wheat, and the chaff, This kidnapping, is it true, or somebody, organized himself to be kidnapped?
Now, Chizoba, I'd like us to take a look at this headline by the Whistler. And it says that kidnappers demanded 64 billion naira in 3 years.
It's unfortunate.
That's huge.
But it's actually not surprising with the number of persons that have been kidnapped over this period of time, including school children. And we know that when they say governments don't negotiate, we know even in the US, they have back channel negotiation. Yeah. It's that the government is not directly involved. And some of the figures are what adds up to this. Recently, I think 2 days back, the Oyo State governor actually alluded to the fact that they are having conversation with the kidnappers of the school children.
And their teachers.
And the teacher. In as much as I didn't give details of that, but it is known that even governments negotiate with them. We've even seen a situation where they have meetings with state governments in the Northwest. But what do we do about it? I think that is about solution. Giving out the figures does not actually surprise anybody, if you ask me, because we are talking about reported cases, ransom payment. There are those that are not reported. There are families that quietly pay and get their loved ones back. There are also families that pay and they still lose their loved ones.
Yes.
And it goes to show, you talked about the Kitty case, the deputy chairman. This mostly has to do with religious perspective, or when we talk about radicalism and all. It's not about, like you said, about poverty. It's not about your means of, it's about belief. And when it has to do with that, that's why a lot of people frown at the issue that you're reintegrating them. They've been radicalized. It takes a lot of process. And in Nigeria, we don't even have a means of follow-up. When we release even the normal criminals that go through trial are incarcerated and released, there's no follow-up on what they are doing. Is it this number that is relieved, integrated into the society? I think the last figure was 720 or so. What's the plan for following up and ensuring that they are not going back to crime?
Okay. Now, Chooks, as a rider to that, let's look at what the Daily Sun has this morning. Terror group Mamudawa, Lakurawa members nabbed. And then on the front page of the Observer's Times, the governor of Kogi State, Usman Ododo, is declaring total war on bandits and terrorists in Kogi Forest, saying he will use all lawful means to wipe them out, to apprehend them.
You see, let's give kudos to the governor. I've now met him, Governor Ododo. You know, Kogi State is one of the most challenged states in terms of its location. I think he has boundaries of about 7 or 8 states, you understand? And,
I think 10.
Yes, about 10 states. And the governor has really been doing very, like I told you about this guy who was sentenced to death.
The Obajana guy.
Yes, it's a Kogi High Court. Shows that the governor is not smiling, they're not. And when we talk about kidnapping, or violent crimes, we tend to think associating more with the north. But forget that time was in the southeast. Abia, Anambra, Imo, when kidnapping was very, so even Rivers, Delta, you remember, when people going to school, they get kidnapped on the road. But you see, after some time, because there's what you call forces of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis as social scientists. It comes to a point in time where these things will cancel themselves out, because we can't continue this way. When everybody has been kidnapped, then there will be no kidnappee, and there will be no
nobody to pay ransom.
Nobody to pay ransom. That's the truth. Because you see, it's a question of values, like I say. If you look at materialism, and people glamorize violence even on social media. You see, look at this guy there was this tailor in Ogun State, a tailor who had very good clientele, very good. But he decided to create content according to him, and went to meet an otherwise law-abiding Fulani header, who has been in trend for several years, that they should put up an act that Fulani were coming to attack the village in Ogun State. Of course, the police nabbed him, and so now it's becoming increasingly difficult to sift between reality and content, by some of our youngsters, because they play several pranks without even knowing the implication. Look at a 17-year-old talking about, what does even a 17-year-old know about marriage? You know, claiming that the chairman of Hairs Holdings, you know, what's his name? UBA from Elumelu, that all his children,
Tony Elumelu.
Tony Elumelu. Imagine somebody is 17-year-old. What does a 17-year-old know about marriage, you know, or even childbearing? You understand? So our youngsters, I think we have to really, you know, look inwards and talk about family values, because according to sociologists, the family is the basic unit of society.
Yeah.
You see, we have parents who are I mean, what they call nomadic parents these days. You know, the father wakes up in the morning to go look for money. The mother wakes up in the morning to go look for money, and the children are left to their own devices. You know, social media. You know, that's all.
All right.
All day long.
All right, we have to go now. Thank you very much, Chizoba and Chooks. As usual, I will suggest you read up on the social media comments this morning. There's a big part going on there about you, especially Chooks.
You should bring it up.
Thank you so much. Chooks Akuna and Chizoba Ogbeche have been my reviewers this morning on the newspaper review. I apologize once again that we took off a bit late on the segment. It was because we had a technical issue that we needed to deal with immediately. Otherwise, it would have shut down our transmission completely. But we're back now, and it's good to have brought it to you. We'll take a break. When we come back, after, we'll begin our first conversation. Do stay with us.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a...
That's Kakaaki, the African Voice, this morning. First conversation, and we are talking about our own operations, the media, and of course how the State House press corps relates to the presidency here in Nigeria. Very many people who watch the international news media do know that the U.S. President Donald Trump has a no-love-lost relationship with some media houses in the U.S. He calls some of them by different names, the fake news and all of that. So what is the government and media relationship like here in Nigeria? Let's talk to the chairman of the State House Press Corps Association here in Nigeria. Emmanuel Anule is here with me, he's joining me. Good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, good. Good to have you here.
All right. If within the media and even outside the media, many people look at men like you with a lot of envy. Maybe I should call it envy, especially because you have access to the presidency, the president, the vice president, the ministers, and all kinds of visitors who come into the presidential villa. Is it justifiable?
No, but yeah, they have the right to their opinions. But you and I know that our job first is being a reporter. And we work for different media outfits. And we represent these media organizations. And the job is simple. Feed the public with the news. So you don't go personal, but you face the job. And what the public want is to be informed. And our responsibility is to inform. Whether in that process you court a relationship is a different matter. But the job first. But the members of public have the right.
So it's not a juicy post.
It's not as juicy as they think. And remember, this is a security environment, and it's not as easy to cut relationship here. And remember, ordinarily people don't trust journalists. The trust doesn't come easy. So making friendship in the villa is not as easy as you can see people can perceive outside. That's all I can say about that.
That's a new one, because the impression that people have is that you guys have it all easy and everything is rosy.
In fact, anytime I had opportunity to comment on this, I tell people that if I were a media owner or a media manager, I would never send a rookie to the villa, because news sources is important for every journalist. If you have someone who's already grounded in covering maybe different beats, and he gets to the villa, it's better off for him, because he gets to meet those same persons he has cultivated outside. Because since the villa is a sensitive environment, people get to be wary in coming close to you. So it's even news sourcing is difficult. But we still find ways to, maneuver
to get around it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now, working in that kind of environment, how do you get satisfaction on the job? Because, like you said, it's a rarefied atmosphere because of the security environment that you are working in. And you have to practically be on your toes all of the time.
Yeah. Remember, I believe strongly that journalism is not about negativism. Journalism, at that level, and as a Nigerian, you think about national interests. You think about development, developing journalism as I said. So it is not about painting the negative, feeding the public with the negative, sometimes when it is not even necessary. You understand? If you can't really get what is true, why do you present falsehood? So I feel satisfied that I am contributing in my quota. That's for me. I'm not speaking for others. I feel satisfied that I'm contributing my quota in informing the public. Because remember, this is the highest office in the land. It is sometimes even a privilege that you are the first to get the news. I don't know whether that makes sense.
Of course, it does make sense to me. Yeah. Now, I'm wondering how you strike a balance as State House correspondents between the way you present the news.
Yeah.
There's a certain way that, because I know that a number of times some correspondents have had their accreditation withdrawn by the State House Press Office for various reasons. And it means that there's a certain expectation from the Press Office, from the presidency, while there's an expectation from the public.
I think under this current democracy, since 1999, these are rare cases. Particularly, it has not happened since President Tinubu came on board. But we had pockets of these cases sometime, I think, when President Jonathan was there. One of our colleagues, the man who reports for Deutsche Welle, Radio Deutsche Welle, that was a case of a visiting president. I can't recall that particular president. But at that time, I think the government had engaged, there was this story that the government had engaged the services of some mercenaries from South Africa. And then there was this visiting president who met President Jonathan, and this reporter had to ask a question, and maybe the system didn't find it palatable. It happened that his accreditation was withdrawn, but I remember when President Buhari came on board, the accreditation card of that reporter was reinstated. But these are cases that hardly happens. It's not often. So personally, I'm not intimidated in any way. I'm not, perturbed by trying to do the job. I have never experienced one of them, so any of these instances. But it could have been happening maybe in the days when the military were there. Just the uniform itself is scary, and given the fact that it's a security environment, you understand. But it's a rare case.
Yeah, but the security environment hasn't really changed, has it? No, because you have all kinds of military operatives in the presidential villa, and you don't really know who's watching you, when and where. Sure. So, what do you find most challenging in your work as a State House correspondent?
You see, sometimes getting to confirm stories, particularly maybe when the system doesn't want, but maybe the media managers don't want some aspect of the story go out. That's the only challenge sometimes you find, because the civil servants only, like I told you, getting sources is not as easy as you could think, maybe outside the other beats that people cover. So if the media handlers don't want to speak, what do you do? And when you cannot confirm stories, do you go without, do we just publish stories that you cannot confirm?
When in doubt, you leave out.
You leave it out. That's one rule in the job. So it is better sometimes when you have spokesmen to the president who are ready, to confirm stories to you. But if they don't want, you can challenge them, because they are also there to manage the information in the system. I don't know whether that makes sense to you.
Some of the spokespersons to the various presidents we've had have been media men too, and they understand the terrain. Exactly. So how accommodating have these people been in the discharge of their own duties, complementing your own discharge of your own duties?
I can. Maybe I will not speak through the past, but I will say currently that we are currently privileged to have very experienced people around the president. You have Mr. Bayo Nanuga, he's a special advisor on information and strategy. You have Mr. Sunday Dare, the special advisor on policy communication. You have Mr. Daniel Buala. These are all experienced journalists with us. I think they've made it quite a little bit easy now, because having this, eggheads around, these are very experienced people on the field. So I think it's not been as access to them is easier, because they understand our needs. It's not as difficult as maybe I can take it back for those who cover in the military days, where the spokesperson even had military background. So even approaching them in itself was scary. But I don't think that is happening currently at the moment.
Okay, now let's talk about the issue of press freedom. It's one that is instrumental to your ability to do your work. How would you describe the level of press freedom in Nigeria?
I think I will give some kudos to this current administration, because hardly do you hear cases of attack on journalists again. And I remember sometime in 2023, specifically in December, President Tinubu made a statement that his government will be tolerable to press freedom. I remember, I think he's one of those persons that has benefited from press freedom in the movement in the days of Nadeko and Co. So I think Nigerians have hardly had witnessed maybe cases of abuse of journalists again. I don't know.
There have been a few cases.
Okay, you can mention some of them here.
Segun Olatuji, for instance.
Okay. Of which medium is that?
Segun Olatuji, I think
that's
was with
Tribune. That's Tribune.
No, not Tribune.
The Olatuji I know is from Tribune.
Yes, he left from Tribune, but he was picked up by security operatives right in front of. They first picked up his wife, who just had a baby, brought her home to come and arrest him, and the way it was handled. The media itself reported that the entire street was scandalized, because they now began to, the family was now seen as maybe a family of criminals, or not knowing that the man is just the editor of a paper. So that's one. There's another one I can't quickly recall the name of the person now, but there have been a few of them here and there. And one cannot but talk about it, because the issue of press freedom is a very critical issue when you're talking about democracy. Yeah. So it's happened. It has happened. And we cannot but talk about it. So when you look at all of that, you probably will say it is rare, but even the rarity is something that, the one that is rare is something that shouldn't really happen.
No,
there are other ways of handling such issues. If you think that a paper has libeled you or a reporter has libeled you, or the government, don't you think?
You seek redress in court. That's what happened. That's the ideal thing that should happen. That's the ideal thing that should happen. I will always not support any government that will go against the press, because the press remains the basin of democracy. And where the press is not allowed to perform its job effectively, then it means the leadership does not want to be sincere.
Okay, now you're covering the Tinubu administration. It's one administration that is probably, if I could describe it that way, popular for unpopular decisions. Fuel subsidy removal, liberalization of the exchange rate, and the introduction of tax reforms. How much of pressure does that put on you and your colleagues to report and analyze these developments? Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to ask questions about things like that.
Like I told you earlier, our job is to report, and most times the public make their choices and opinions from the fallout of the stories that we write. And I told you again, when you don't have the facts, what do you report? From the level that we operate, you hardly see analysis from reporters in the villa. You have columnists who work for the same organizations. You have some of our colleagues who have columns as well. But I'm first a reporter. I leave the analysis for members of the public to make their opinion. So I don't want to delve into assessing government or that. I thought we came here specifically to even speak about our event. I want to avoid that.
Okay, that, that's why you were asking me if I was going to put you on the hot seat. But you are on the hot seat, whichever way you look at it. But how would you
makes some sense.
How would you describe the relationship between the presidency and the press corps?
Like I told you, I said we're lucky to have very senior media aides to the president who understands our job. And it's about access and their readiness to speak when it is necessary. And we've been cooperating with them excellently.
You've been cooperating with them? Have they been cooperating with you?
Of course. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
All
and
right.
if that is not happening, even the reason why you invited me to this program will not happen, because there is an event we're planning.
Oh yes, the presidential, the State House press corps presidential dinner.
Exactly.
So how did that one come up? Because it's the first time. We only read about that in the US.
It's been very, very difficult planning it. Over the years, it has been the desire of the press corps to have that event happen. But maybe, like I told you, we have this media experienced journalists around the president who see the need now. Because when we watch, for instance, in the United States, where you get to see the president even calling journalists by name, we desire to have that kind of scenario. But you cover a newsmaker, you cover the activities of the presidency, but you don't get close to these newsmakers. So over the time, we felt that this is a challenge. And so we felt that we should initiate at least a forum where once in a year, at least, we can get to sit in a relaxed atmosphere with the people we cover. And so that's what brought the idea of the dinner.
So it's the first of its kind
actually.
In Nigeria.
Maiden edition, exactly.
So
our desire is to see the president institutionalize it, if that is possible, so that it becomes an annual event.
So what do you expect at this dinner? Is it wining and dining? Or
No, not at all, not at all. Like I told you, we want to see the president in a relaxed atmosphere, even though part of the schedule is that he will speak to us about those same things you raised. But unfortunately, it's not a question and answer event. But at least we will get to meet the key players in the system, and our desire
all in one place
all
at the
in
same
one place,
time.
exactly at one time, and hoping that subsequently, maybe in the future, we're even thinking of turning it into an avenue where we can raise funds and support even journalism, our journalism profession, particularly the younger ones in tertiary institutions who are studying mass communication or studying journalism-related courses. But that will be through private effort. We don't intend to raise money from government, but we intend to raise funds from spirited individuals.
I'm wondering how that will work.
Yeah, it happens elsewhere.
It's a State House Press Corps presidential dinner.
Exactly.
How will that work? Raising funds from the private sector.
Remember, in the U.S., what happens is that once this event becomes institutionalized, attending the events, we can even raise funds through selling tickets. It happens elsewhere. So people remember, this is a high-profile environment that people desire to come. So having to partner with the press, I don't think is something that is awkward. So we desire and hope so, that in the future we will achieve.
Emmanuel, Nigeria is a peculiar environment,
Yeah, sure.
and especially reading through the social media comments, the comments on our YouTube channel this morning in response or in reaction to the newspaper review and to the newspaper headlines of this morning, you get to know that Nigerians hold all shades of opinion.
Yeah, sure.
And a situation like that, trying to raise money from a State House Press Corps presidential dinner, could also draw all kinds of reactions from the public.
Remember, I've told you that we will not raise money from the system. You understand? We would develop.
Yeah, but it could also be seen as an avenue to curry favor or to get access. No, not from government. Curry favor on the part of members of the private sector.
It's a concept, and anyway, I told you it's a concept that we're thinking into the future.
Okay, you're still thinking about
yes,
it.
I'm thinking about
so
it. So
you probably are going to think about all of the sides, all of the
course,
possible sides.
The pros and cons of it.
All right, Emmanuel, I wish you the very best as you go into this press corps presidential dinner. Who's invited?
Yeah. We have extended invitation to some private industry players. We've extended invitation to the leadership of the National Assembly. I can confirm for this moment, but there are clear indications that Mr. President is attending, the Vice President will attend, and then the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We also extended invitation to the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, both the national leadership. Also extended invitation to the leadership of the NUJ in Abuja, the FCT Council chapter. Okay. I also invited the leadership of the Nigerian Press Council and some few leadership of some media organizations who are also our leaders in the field.
All right, Emmanuel, I wish you the very best, and we'll see how it goes with the inaugural State House Press Corps presidential dinner.
For having
it's something novel, and Nigerians, I'm sure, will look forward to hearing how all of that will go down. Thank you so much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Emmanuel Anule is the chairman of the State House Press Corps here in Abuja, and of course he's been talking to me about the forthcoming State House Press Corps dinner and the relationship between the presidency and the members of the State House Press Corps, the rarefied air where journalists operate and rub shoulders with those in the corridors of powers. Once again, thank you very much, Emmanuel, and have a great day.
And thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a break, and then when we come back on Kakaaki, the African Voice, it will be time for Kakaaki Social. Do stay with us.
Chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Hello everyone, good morning to you and welcome to Kakaaki Social. I am Onoshorena Obozege. Let's see what's happening on the space of social media. We start with the good news, if you want to say it like that, which is the launch of free television by the federal government. And to tell you this, it is a national digital platform that will provide households with free access to over 100 national, regional, and state television channels without monthly subscription fees. The service will offer news, sport, movies, music, educational, and children's programming, including dedicated Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo channels. Free TV will be available via satellite, terrestrial transmission, and a mobile app, extending access to urban and rural communities nationwide. Nigerians will not need new television sets to enjoy the service, as existing TVs can be used with compatible DVB-T2 or DVB-S2 decoders, and that's according to the briefings and details shared by the federal government at the digital switch just yesterday in Abuja. We had the Minister of Information and then his counterpart in digital communication speak to us. Let's hear.
The digital switch-over project is therefore not simply a technological transition. It is an investment in Nigeria's future.
That infrastructure will connect communities, businesses, institutions, and public services across Nigeria and beyond. And what many people may not know is that while we're doing this today because we own our own satellites, our president has also approved the investment in 2 new satellites.
All right, let's bring you in and see how you're reacting. But first, the Information Minister had put this out yesterday after the meeting, and he says, we launched free TV today, June 17, 2026, a national digital television platform at the heart of our digital switchover DSO program. What we are pursuing through DSO by NBC, the big picture, is an ecosystem that is focused on multiple content delivery platforms, a hybrid broadcasting model that combines digital terrestrial television, DTT, direct-to-home, satellite delivery, and digital application-based platforms. More television content, more choices for Nigerians, greater competition, better quality, delivered digitally and free. Also in reaction now, Mommy's Desk says a government's vision is revealed by its priority. If free TV is being presented as an achievement, then Nigerians have every right to ask, where is the innovation, where is the economic plan, and where is the future? Also in reaction, we have Ovox, who says, of everything you can give Nigerians for free, it's free TV. No be who get lights, go fit watch TV. Abi make a dey buy fuel for 1,400 naira to watch free TV every day. And another reaction troublemaker says, it's just a matter of time. I can assure you all that we will be charged a subscription fee as time goes on. This free version is just to divert the attention of the youth protesting against insecurity. But then we had William say, if they can do this, I am against this government. But it's a welcome development if you know what people pay in a year for television subscription. And one more thought is from this user. They're asking a question and they say, I hope it won't be run like Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, whatever that user means there. And then we have a London Crown Court that has acquitted Nigeria's former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Dezani Alisi Maduike, clearing her of all bribery and corruption charges. Following a grueling 5-month trial, the jury returned a unanimous not guilty verdict on all 6 counts of accepting bribes and conspiracy. Alison Maduike, who managed Nigeria's oil sector between 2010 and 2015, had consistently maintained her innocence throughout the decade-long international investigation. About 10 years, this case has been ongoing, and just yesterday, after she was cleared by the UK court, she came out to say that God cannot be man, and man cannot be God. Let's hear her.
I'm just thankful to God. It's been a very, very arduous and long, almost 11 years. It's been traumatic for, not just for me, but for my family, for friends, for all those who have stayed and supported, for my 93-year-old mother in Port Harcourt, for my son, and for all those who love us, friends and family. Look, we're surrounded by friends here. You know. So it has been a hard journey, but I tell you this, God will always do as God wills, and God will be God. Amen. God is not a man. Amen. He should lie. And so when he promises you something, he will see it through. Sure. It has been almost 11 years I've been here. I did my job to the best of my ability. But like I said, God is not a man.
All right, let's see how you're reacting to this. This user, BB Jesus, says the woman should be freed for any accused court cases for this or that. She is innocent until the past petroleum ministers, either president or ministers before her, are probed. She remains innocent of the accused crime. In another reaction, HMC says a deal has been struck. The UK took its share and dropped all charges. As corrupt as the UK, as corrupt as Nigeria, Tinubu is waiting to make her an ambassador. The UK is part of our problems. They will never let go when it comes to illegal oil deals, HMC is saying. Mark Dejildan says UK court work with evidence. I don't think that people that brought the case in the first place were willing to come up with clear evidence. Hence, her discharged and acquitted. In Sam Rotti says acquitted of all 6 bribery charges. At this point, somebody should check if we've been watching the right season all along. This is a movie as far as that user is concerned. Also, still away from Nigeria, we have the Equatorial Guinea government that has all of them. The cabinet has resigned from office, and this is for failing to meet the target put out there. So the ministers submitted a collective resignation letter to say that they have not been performing, so they do not deserve to be in office. So Vice President Theodora Mangwe announced that Prime Minister Manuel Uswa submitted the collective resignation letter of the cabinet following an assessment of the government's performance. Authorities say the decision was driven by the need for greater accountability and result in governance. So because of this, a new government is expected to be appointed by the president in the coming days. So an entire cabinet left office because of failure to deliver mandates and meet their targets in office. Let's see how this meets you, and definitely in relation to Nigeria. Arawa Net says, refreshing to see a government actually held to account for performance instead of being shielded indefinitely. If only more administrations across Africa treated failed deliverables as grounds for resignation rather than business as usual. Also, Medici says in Nigeria, they will promise to stay for only one term and still rig the next election to remain in power despite massive records of failures. More thought to this, Mr. Ekuri says a government resigning for missing targets is rare. The bigger question is whether accountability stops at ministers or extends to the entire system that set those targets. More thought, Boozman says, Nigerian government officials can never. Instead, their Vuvuzela online supporters will be online blaming the previous government instead of acknowledging the truth. So that user says right there. And while at it, we have the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, that is talking tough in Enugu State. He says his people are disobedient people, disobedient in line with obedient mandate and the followership. He says we are not obedient, but we are disobedient. The only cause we are obedient to is the Tinubu mandate. And in church, he led the on your mandate we shall stand, Bola Tinubu.
Very disobedient, but obedient to all your
All right, let's bring you in and see under the comment section. This user says, you don't have to disparage him to be loyal to your principle. I may not be a fan of Obi, but play politics with integrity. Tables may turn, you never know, and you won't be able to swallow these words. That's how Edem Okon says. King Hodge says, if by any chance Tinubu wins the next election, then everyone should leave Tinubu alone and hold the state government accountable for anything that happens in the state. These governors are only supporting Tinubu because he allocates huge amounts of money to them without accountability of how it's been spent and what it's used for. That's King Hodge there. Idenge said, Jack says, Ministry of Petroleum used to be, I think that's most he wanted to put, the most lucrative. But after Desiani loot, President keep that one for themselves and family. Now, Ministry of Works is the current gold mine. 2031, Umahi contests for presidency. That's a prophet right there. Ifeanyi says, one of the reasons I love the Igbos is that deep down, they know who to vote for when the time comes. Absolutely for Ifeanyi. And this next story, it has a woman, a single mother of 8 children, for 7 different men. So she's been dragged on the space of social media, and she said, it can be anybody, you guys. Have mercy on me, because you don't know if it might happen to you or anyone you know tomorrow. 8 children for 7 different men. Let's hear.
It can happen to anybody at all. It can happen to you. Yes, they got this life, so I'm not planned to born for 7 men. I'm not planned to become single mother of 8. Now this life, that thing say change against me. Now this life, that thing they change against me. Now this life, it they change against me. They cause me. They laugh me.
All right, let's see how you're reacting to this and who is empathizing as she's requesting. Bring Them Home says, excuse you, it cannot happen to anybody because when you do condom, you watch yourself get pregnant once. Let's assume it's a mistake. Second, let's assume it's carelessness. Third, let's say you were just stupid and forgot about your last experience. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, all of them mistake. Eddie says, wait, single mother no be who gets only one pikin. Mother of 8 now multiple mother be that. For Gloria Chinenye Livinas, it says, it can never happen to any sensible person. You are both foolish and irresponsible. You didn't give birth to octuplets for 1 man. You gave birth to 8 children for 7 different men out of wedlock. That isn't a mistake. Even if they swear for you, you suppose jump and pass. And yes, Spook says, wait, single mother, not widow, for 7 men care. And what do you mean by it can happen to anybody? Even the harlot at the well for Bible stop for 5 men. You see Acts 2 on top. You'll be trying to connect 7 different villages together. Those are the reactions coming there. But she says, you guys, it could have been you or anyone you know. If it be anybody, as she says, have mercy. All right, in not so different story, this is coming from Enugu State, where we have a sect of women protesting. They are saying the height of prostitution in their area right now is alarming. And first off, their husbands no longer stay in their houses. Their sons too are soon getting into the market, if you get that these girls, prostitutes, should leave their husbands and sons alone.
Must be better.
All right, well, we're just going to have 2 reactions in one to this story right there. It's coming from X. Jenny Vicky says, which kind of wahala be this? Laughing out loud, he says, if you chase them, your husband go follow another person. For Evans Exercises, laughing out loud, they didn't force your sons and husband to patronize them now. So apparently they're saying they have to go. And our final story today is rather a sad one, where tragedy has struck the Ghanaian football community over the loss of one of their players, Emmanuel, after a collision with a goalkeeper from the other side of the match. According to a report by Ghana Chronicles on the space of social media, the incident occurred during play with Emmanuel, who is now late, sustaining injuries from the collision. Despite efforts to save him, as we were told, he was later confirmed dead. The unfortunate development has sent shockwaves through the football fraternity, with many mourning the loss of the player. And report from Ghana is also indicating that the Ghana Football Association has escalated the matter to the appropriate authorities, with an investigation now underway to determine the circumstances surrounding the incident. And that's just the footage on your screen right there of how it happened. Just like that, a life was lost. Our condolences, and may he find absolute rest. All right, everyone, that's the size of Kakaaki Social today. Thanks a bunch for being a part of it. I'm Rena OBO, and we are AIT_online. The program continues after now. I'll see you again tomorrow.
Out you come. With the shortage of brand new aircraft delivery across the world, Emirates decided to go it alone and refurbish over 200 of our existing planes at our own engineering facility. This makes it the largest retrofit program on the planet. For our customers, it means even greater consistency of a world-class product.
Every day, across forests, highways, towns, and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head-on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces. Salute their gallantry. Stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Hashtag Unite Against Terror.
The FIFA World Cup 2026 is here. Watch all 104 matches live on StarTimes, from the opening match to the final showdown.
And this time, it's not just watching, it's watch and win.
Subscribe or buy a StarTimes decoder and stand a chance to win the 10 million naira grand prize, plus many exciting prizes nationwide with subscription packages starting from just 4,000 naira. Recharge now via StarTimes app or visit any StarTimes office or dealer outlet near you.
StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Out you come.
With the shortage of brand new aircraft delivery across the world, Emirates decided to go it alone and refurbish over 200 of our existing planes at our own engineering facility. This makes it the largest retrofit program on the planet. For our customers, it means even greater consistency of a world-class product.
No worry, you said go make am. Mo go buy ball.
Victor, even you they use money point?
Of course now, they use money points.
Confirm.
Money Point, made for your progress. Every day, across forests, highways, towns, and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head-on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces. Salute their gallantry. Stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Hashtag Unite Against Terror. Out you come.
With the shortage of brand new aircraft delivery across the world, Emirates decided to go it alone and refurbish over 200 of our existing planes at our own engineering facility. This makes it the largest retrofit program on the planet. For our customers, it means even greater consistency of a world-class product.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Thursday morning. And of course, time now to take on our second conversation for today. Now, there's so much happening on the Nigerian political scene. Of course, in the last few days, we've seen judicial interventions for opposition parties. We've seen so many things, intense pre-electoral maneuvers for the upcoming elections, and all kinds of events, all preceding the 2027 general election. Now, what exactly is going on? Is it the usual electioneering and, of course, the preparations for campaigns, for selection of candidates or election of candidates in some cases where elections actually hold in parties? And you want to try to untangle all of that. That's what we're trying to do this morning. I have Dr. A.K. Peters joining me. He's the Executive Director of Setting Leadership Initiative and is a public affairs analyst, joining me to look at the matters arising from the 2027 election countdown. Dr. Peters, thank you for joining me. Good morning.
It's my pleasure to be here. Good morning, Nigerians.
So much is happening. So much has been happening in the last few days concerning the 2027 elections. Let's begin by what you can describe arguably as the most, the matter of the moment. And of course, in terms of party registration or deregistration, the Federal High Court says, INEC, deregister these 5 parties. And then the Appeal Court says, no, you can't do that. You must not do that. And you've not done due diligence. What do you make of the whole saga?
We are in the season of politics. And that is why we have the judiciary to stabilize a lot of things. I do not think it is still an issue now. One major definition of justice that I really like is that justice is what the court says it is. The court has spoken. Nigerians will abide by what the court has said. In this case, the appellate court. While we agree that that is the position of the law as it is today, you cannot take away the fact that I want to outwit you to have whatever I want to have. Nevertheless, that wasn't even the case in the issue of the Justice Peter Lifu's Federal High Court decision. It didn't come at the best of time. Probably they didn't do a lot of background check. The truth, too, is that Justice Lifu was a bit stubborn. But nevertheless, I think that is behind us now.
That makes me feel like you don't really want to talk about it now.
Why not? Why not? But that is what it is.
It's behind us. But let's look at happenings within the major political parties. There have been a number of maneuvers to appease politicians who are not happy with the outcomes of the recently concluded party primaries, especially the APC. You're a member of the APC?
Yes, I am.
Yes. So tension is mounting within the National Working Committee of the party, and aggrieved aspirants who are worried, and they are seeking reprieve over what happened during the primaries. How worrying a development is that for the ruling party, especially seeing that some of these people are people who had expected initially that, look, we will get our return tickets and we'll be able to contest the election?
I don't know why the Nigerian public is trying to be more Catholic than the Pope. A lot of people seem to be crying more than the bereaved. The APC hasn't spoken. Even Mr. President, as of today, had not been officially declared as the candidate and flag bearer of the APC in the 2027 general election.
No. That's not. I don't think that's correct.
Never.
Because even from the very get-go, the party said that there will be only one candidate for presidency, and that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the sitting president.
We are yet to upload our information, the information of our candidates, to INEC.
Oh, that's a different kettle of fish. But to say that it has not been declared, even from the very first minute, without even the signal to start politicking for the 2027 election, the APC had said that Bola Tinubu will be the only candidate for the presidency. I can tell you that one straight off.
Well, let's not go to the presidency. And I guess it is not the president we are looking at.
No. I'm just telling you that if you say that the presidency, that the presidential ticket has not been set, it was settled long ago.
Do we have issues with the Guba candidates?
Of course, there are enough issues when you talk about governorship candidates, even the senatorial tickets, House of Reps.
I want us to take them one after the other.
So, which one do you want to start with?
I guess we have discussed the presidency.
No, that one is not even. That one is not even up for discussion. I'm just making you understand that. Look, there was a declaration at the beginning that Bola Tinubu will be the only presidential candidate, presidential aspirant and candidate of the APC.
Definitely.
But let's leave that one behind and let's look at some of the issues. Let me take you to Delta State, for instance, where maybe this is not really there because it's no longer an internal matter in the APC, but the former Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omagege, left the party and moved away because he felt aggrieved that he was denied the ticket, the senatorial ticket that he so much wanted. And that's representative of a number of situations across Nigeria where the APC has aggrieved people who couldn't get the tickets they desired, despite the fact that they had so much going for them in their own estimation.
This is not an isolated case of the All Progressive Congress alone. We have similar cases in all political parties. And there are bound to be disgruntled elements whenever there are party primaries. A situation where you have more than one candidate vying for a particular ticket, and the ticket will be meant for just one person. It means the other persons or the other people will definitely not have the ticket. And you do not expect that such persons will be very happy with the party. However, the case of Distinguished Senator Ovie Omoagege is a beast, that of an exception, given that he is a high-profile person who has risen to the level of a Deputy Senate President and had been like the leader of the party. He flew the flag of the party in the last gubernatorial election of Delta State, and coming to return to the Senate under the platform of the party after Governor Sheriff and his team decamped to the APC in Delta State, and soon he became the leader of the party. All of the political gerrymandering that has taken place in Delta State are very clear to all of us. But very importantly, you have to realize that a party at all times tries to put forward a candidate that party knows will win election. And in a situation where we are law-abiding citizens, and the law have said there will be only two ways through which candidates will emerge, either by consensus or by direct primaries. I wish we still had the indirect primary system where delegates would have assembled in a particular place and you would have seen election conducted that way. But unfortunately, the hands of all political parties were tied this time around, allowing for consensus. If the consensus, the leaders of the party, the stakeholders of the party, those who are really running the affairs of the party, and the members of the party, card-carrying members of the party, the leadership of the party, do not seem to agree that a particular candidate can win the election for them, the consensus definitely will not favor such a candidate. And where it goes to direct primaries, and these are the people who are with the people, these are the people that know who can win elections for them, and at the end of the day, the results come out the way it has come out, as is the case with His Excellency Ovie Omoagege. What do you really expect? I expected the very distinguished senator to be the statesman that he is. I expected him to be the patriot that he is. I expected him to be that party man. This is a party you raised from nothing, from obscurity, from oblivion, and you raised that party to the pride of place that party is now in Delta State. You are a leader in the party, and I do not expect that due to primordial considerations, you just walk away as a result of this. I think Oviomo Agege has a very bright future in politics. And that future will be best for him in the APC, or would have been best for him in the APC.
Those are your own thoughts. But you seem to think that personal interest doesn't have a say in these matters. And we do know that a lot of the time in the Nigerian political space, personal interest is the key thing here. So are you saying that these politicians, you used the Ovio Omagege example, are you saying these politicians should jettison their personal interest even when they know that they've served the party, their various parties, and they think that it is time for them to at least reap from where they sold?
Well, I agree that in every public interest there is a selfish interest. I also agree or want to state that if you subscribe to the ideology of a political party and you fully understand and have the grasp of the manifesto of the party, and you have sought election at very high levels under the platform of that party, and you are seen as or like the face of that party, it gets to a level where you have become a godfather. It comes to a level where you have become a big brother. It comes to a level where you become a mentor. And if the people say, it's just like in the First Republic. Nobody expected that His Excellency, the Premier of the North, Alhaji Malam,
the Sardauna of Sokoto.
The Sardauna of Sokoto. Then. As it was then. Nobody expected that he won't run for the federal elections. But he looked at the North, and he felt that they still needed time to stabilize things, to grow things to maturity. He called up on his deputy and said, "Guy, come to the federal, represent us there, do well, I know you can, while I stay behind to finish or complete the work we have started."
But the scenario with Alhaji Sir Amadou Bello in the First Republic may be a bit different from what we have today, because you're talking about one person who took a look at the northern region at that time and decided, look, I need to work with my people first to stabilize the region before looking at the federal. Today, everybody wants to go to the federal level.
That is the problem we have in Nigeria today. Yet, we run, in quote, a federation. It is because we are not really truly and effectively implementing a true federal system. We have always said on this station that we run a pseudo-federal system that is more of a unitary system. However, over time, we will get it right. As I speak, in less than 3 weeks from now, America will be 250 years old as a democracy, as a republic. We are just 65 years old. And we expect to be like America that has been there doing this thing for 250 years.
Yeah, but Dr. Peters, don't you have the benefit of learning from the mistakes of others?
We have learned. We are learning. We keep learning. The first 100 years of America's democracy were not as smooth as we have in our first 60 years of Nigerian democracy. It is a learning curve. Ultimately, we will get there. Let's keep working towards getting there.
Okay, now let's talk about something that has given political watchers, including me, a lot of cause for concern. The People's Democratic Party, the main opposition party in Nigeria, is still split because despite a Supreme Court ruling that nullified the 2025 National Convention of the party, which held in Ibadan, you still have rival factions in the party doing things differently. There's one backed by the FCT minister, former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. There's another one led by Kabiru Tenimu Turaki. And you begin to wonder, even after the Supreme Court has ruled on this issue, why does this still persist? Conducting parallel operations, screenings, primaries and all of that ahead of that. What do you think that will do for Nigeria's democracy when the main opposition party is in turmoil?
I don't know when last you checked. Some people may not agree with you, as it is today, that the People's Democratic Party is the the main or leading opposition party. We may need to check again and cross-check and fact-check and see how many members they have in the various state houses of assembly, see how many states they control, having governors. We may also need to fact-check and see how many members they have in the National Assembly. Then we can safely say that they are the leading opposition party. Nevertheless, the PDP, I will agree with you, is more of a shadow of itself. A party that once prided itself as the largest political party in Africa. I recall the days of Audu Ogbe, who is in APC today. I recall the days of Ali. I recall the days of Ahmadu Ali and all of this, who prided themselves and said that PDP will rule for the next 60 years. Alas, that really wasn't to be. The firepower of the APC in 2014 unsat the PDP, and thanks to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who actually demonstrated that he was a statesman, and that you can be a sitting president and lose election and still will not want to behave like Lawrence Gbagbo. The PDP today is highly factionalized, and that is why they may have two governors as it is today, but can we say that the PDP is not a house of commotion and confusion as it is today? Whereas on the one hand, the Turaki faction have reserved a ticket for His Excellency Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who has not come to tell them that he wants the ticket. Who the last time I recall, I watched him on AIT. He said the presidency is not a computer game. And he never said he wants to have a shot at the presidency any longer. Whose wife has said she thinks she wants to support the incumbent, and all of that. Who's governor?
And that they didn't forget anything in the State House.
Yes, they didn't forget anything in the State House. Whose governor is in the APC and all of that. While on the other hand, there is the Nyesom Ezonwan Wike's faction, where the former senator of Cross River Central Senatorial District, Sandy Ono, is a flag bearer. So we should not be talking about PDP now. They will go to court. At the end of the day, one faction will be the faction that will be recognized.
There's no court to go to anymore because they've been to the Supreme Court and that has been settled. But let's talk about the NDC very quickly. I have a minute left. And the NDC now appears to be trying to reconfigure itself ahead of the elections because, there were dissenting voices too after the primary elections. So it's a move that's been applauded by very many as a move that other parties should emulate, because I saw one of the newspapers this morning saying that the NDC was doing something else, talking to people who lost primaries, of course, ensuring that they're not leaving the party for others. What do you think?
I will say two things about the NDC. One, I want to praise them because they are trying to keep Nigerian democracy on its feet and on its toes, and keep Nigerian politicians on their feet and on their toes. The second thing I want to say, it will be in two legs. The first leg is that while we must applaud the fact that NDC have come out to say all its candidates will sign a pact with them and go and swear affidavit and ensure that they do not decamp to another political party when they win their election. I recall that the Justice Uwe panel talked about this, decamping to other political parties with the mandate of another political party. Yeah. I recall Atahiru Jega, even after he left office, said this as one of the banes of the Nigerian polity and the problems that INEC has. If they solve that, we will be running an ideological politics in Nigeria going forward. I speak now as a statesman, not necessarily as a member of a political party.
Dr.
And
Peters.
Finally, on the other aspect, the second leg of NDC, talking about mending fences. The earlier they do it, the better. APC, as we speak, are already firing. They have
Peters,
mobilized down to the grassroots.
We have to go
Other
now.
political parties have to do the same.
Otherwise,
we shouldn't cry foul
we have
at
to
the end
go
of the
now.
elections.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dr. OK Peters has been speaking to me. He's been talking to me about the 2027 elections, doing a countdown, of course, looking at the matters arising in the political space here in Nigeria. And of course, he is the executive director of the Certain Leadership Initiative and a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Pleasure.
All right, stay with us. The next segment comes. We have another segment coming up like the state of human rights. Stay with us.
Welcome to State of Human Rights on Kakaaki, the African Voice. I am Omoyo Ogbaki. The National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, has renewed its call for free, fair, and credible election ahead of the 2027 general elections at the June 12 Democracy Day celebration on Friday. The day celebrated as Nigeria's Democracy Day symbolizes the people's commitment to electoral justice, transparency, and democratic governance, while the June 12, 1993 presidential election is widely regarded as the freest and fairest in Nigeria's history and remains a benchmark for electoral integrity in the country. The Executive Secretary of the NHRC, Dr. Tony Ojukwu, while speaking at the annual lecture in Abuja, described the historic date as a defining moment in Nigeria's democratic journey, noting that democracy and human rights are inseparable. Credible elections and the rule of law, civic participation, and freedom of election and of expression and accountability are fundamental pillars of democratic society where human rights can flourish.
We are particularly delighted to host this important national lecture in collaboration with Professor Humphrey Nwosu Center for Democracy and Human Rights, an institution established to preserve and advance his democratic legacy of laying the foundation for Nigeria's modern democracy. As you are aware, Professor Humphrey Nwosu's defunct National Electoral Commission presided over the conduct of the historic June 12, 1993 presidential election, widely adjudged as Nigeria's freest and fairest election. Today's event is not merely a commemorative lecture. It is a solemn reminder of the sacrifices made by courageous Nigerians, the National Electoral Commission, the Abiolas, the Nadecos, the CSOs, all in the struggle for democracy, constitutional governance, electoral justice, and protection of fundamental human rights to participate in free and fair elections. This annual June 12 commemoration lecture is therefore expected to contribute meaningfully towards strengthening electoral integrity ahead of the 2027 general elections and beyond by encouraging informed national dialogue, voter sensitization, institutional accountability, and democratic participation across the country. Furthermore, the lecture will also generate practical ideas, informed reflections, and constructive recommendations capable of strengthening Nigeria's democratic institutions and safeguarding the integrity of future elections. Similarly, Professor Humphrey Nwosu Center for Democracy and Human Rights seeks to deepen democratic culture through civic education, electoral reform, advocacy, research, leadership, development, youth engagement, and the promotion of ethical governance. The Center's vision strongly complements the mandate of the Commission, and this partnership provides a valuable platform for sustained national engagement on democratic consolidation and human rights advancement. This partnership will certainly extend beyond today's event. We look forward to deeper institutional partnerships in the areas of human rights education, electoral reform, civic enlightenment, youth leadership development, research, policy advocacy, and democratic capacity building across Nigeria and Africa.
The keynote speaker, Femi Falana, SAN, stressed the need to address insecurity across the country, noting that a peaceful environment is essential for conducting free, fair and credible elections, while he urged the federal government to put an immediate stop to widespread insecurity, kidnappings and abductions in Nigeria.
All over the country, citizens are arrested and charged for expressing views that are not in consonance with the people in power. As we are gathered here today, many children, school children, are in the custody of criminals, including teachers. One of them has been beheaded in our country. And we're talking of democracy. Can we go to elections under this condition? Nobody is safe any longer. And so I'm happy the members of the armed forces are here. I defend those of your members who are charged with before court martial in war-related matters. And I said it publicly, the Nigerian Army has taken part in over 40 peacekeeping operations around the world, organized by United Nations, ECOWAS, African Union, and wherever they went to perform, they did so credibly. They brought laurels, medals for our country. But how can we not expect the same armed forces, not equipped, not motivated to fight terrorists? And that's why we're in trouble. So here today, if we want democracy next year, elections, we must ensure that kidnapping, abduction of Nigerians, including children, stops. Senator Godswill Akpabio told Nigerians 2 weeks ago that abductions will stop 2 weeks after the election. Now what is going on now is because of the election. Please, let's tell him through the media, we want abductions to stop now. We can't wait until next year.
Also speaking at the event, the co-founder of the Humphrey Nwosu Center for Democracy and Human Rights, engineer Imnameka Nwosu, called for a renewed commitment to democratic values across Nigeria and the African continent.
We envision a Nigeria and an Africa where democracy thrives. Human rights are protected. Elections are credible. Leaders serve with integrity. The center will be guided by 5 fundamental pillars. First, electoral integrity and reform, because democracy begins with trust in the ballot. We will support research, train observers, and advocate for stronger and more credible electoral systems across Nigeria and beyond. Second, human rights and justice, because democracy without human dignity is incomplete. We will work to protect the rights of citizens, especially the most vulnerable, and ensure that justice is not an ideal, but a reality. Third, civic education and citizen participation, because democracy only works when people are informed and engaged. We will empower citizens to understand their rights, their responsibilities, and their power. Fourth, and this is my favorite, leadership development for youths and women. It's time for the youths and women to be part of our democracy, to start leading. This is because the future of democracy depends on who leads it. And because of that, we will invest in new generation of leaders. that will be grounded not just only in ambition, but integrity and service.
The event provided a platform for discussions on key challenges facing Nigeria's electoral process and ways to strengthen public confidence in democratic institutions. The lecture also highlighted the contributions of the late Professor Humphrey Nwosu, who chaired the electoral body that conducted the June 12, 1993 elections. Participants noted that transparency, credibility of that election remain worthy examples for Nigerian electoral systems as preparations begin for the 2027 general election. On that note, that is where we wrap up this week's episode of State of Human Rights on Kakaaki the African Voice. Until next time, I am Omoyo Ogbaki.
Thank you very much, Omoye, for that package on State of Human Rights. And that's this final segment on Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Thursday morning. We thank you for being part of it. I've been going through all the comments that you sent on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for sending in your thoughts and comments and questions on all the issues that we picked up this morning, especially the acquittal of Diezani Alison Madueke, the former Minister of Petroleum Resources in the UK. So that's how it's going to be. I'm going to end today on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Have a great day. Stay safe wherever you are. Make sure you wash your hands to avoid Ebola and all the other infectious diseases. My name is Kunle Adewale. Stay safe and see you again next time.